live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Loungetime. I'm your host, Rich Saile. Today, we have a massive day on Loungetime. We have so many big news. The playoffs are finally here! And we have some major coaching news off the bat this week. I mean, we've had some legendary coaches, part ways with a team, step down from a team, and retire. Not just at the NFL level, but college as well. All right, so I will give my thoughts on some of that towards the end of the show today. But we have a lot to get into today. This might be one of our longer episodes today because of the major coaching news we have, because there's a lot of thoughts I have to say on that. And we obviously have the NFL playoff bracket. Now, for those of you that don't know how this NFL playoff bracket's going to work, I will post the picture version on the X account at Loungetime Pod. And then what I will do is for the broadcast version, this episode, it's going to be a verbal version of how it's going to go. I'm going to try my best to do it visually so you can see it. I have my NFL helmets right in front of me, actually, to kind of illustrate the projected matchups in my playoff bracket. Now, my helmet collection might be outdated, so for the Bucks and the Rams people, do not flip out on me. I have not gotten the new ones yet. It's been a long time. These have literally been from like 10 years ago, okay? I'm amazed that I have the updated Miami Dolphins helmet, okay? That's how, long ago it's been since I've actually collected NFL helmets, trust me. But, yeah, so Rams and Bucks fans, do not get mad at me for my old helmet collection that I have. I know it's not the accurate helmet now. But anyway, we're going to move on to the NFL playoff bracket, starting with tomorrow's games with the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans. So I'm going to try to hold this up in front of me here as I am talking. So this game, these two teams did not meet not too long ago. They actually met when I was on vacation enjoying my 12-day cruise. And I didn't get to watch this game, but I do remember the last time these two teams played, C.J. Stroud did not play. He was in concussion protocol. So I'm not going to bore you guys with stats and team rankings and stuff because I know you guys don't want to hear about that. You guys don't care unless you guys actually do. If you do, just go to ESPN, just go to NFL.com. They have all those stats, okay? You guys don't want to hear me go blah, blah, blah. Like, you guys don't know about, all this other stuff. You guys just want to get to the nitty-gritty, which is fine. We're going to get right into it. So, Cleveland Browns, Houston Texans. This is the toughest game of the week, in my opinion, to pick for me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This was tough. I went back and forth because I really think the Cleveland Browns are a dangerous team this postseason. I think they have AFC Championship material. But the more I'm watching C.J. Stroud, the more away I'm coming impressed. And I want to take the Texans. But I don't know, man. This is really tough because C.J. Stroud, this is his first big game. Postseason game. Obviously, the postseason feel is much different than the regular season, right? So this is his first real big game under the lights. I know the Colts-Texans game was last Saturday night, and that was another one where it was big under the lights. I don't think he's going to have a problem under the lights. I think this is a bigger stage game with so much ramped up expectations. But again, this is the number one defense in yards allowed, and this team was very good defensively all season for the Browns. Joe Flacco in the playoffs, for some weird reason, he plays so much better in the postseason than he does in the regular season, right? But he's playing great these last 4 weeks, okay, since he's been in the game. Okay, I'm not factoring in the Cincy game because nobody played in that game. I'm talking about the last 4 games he's been in, right? So, this is going to make me think for a bit, all right? I do think this game can go either way, okay? Texans are playing with house money. Nobody expected them to win the division. Nobody expected them to make it this far. Cleveland Browns, some had them as a playoff team in the beginning of the year. I didn't, but they have bigger aspirations, right? But again, they have been injury plagued all season. They lost Nick Chubb week 2. They lost Deshaun Watson for the season in week 11. All these guys are banged up. I think Denzel Ward's banged up with a knee injury as of, I think, Thursday I seen. So, man, this game's tough. Back and forth. I could see anybody winning this one. This is obviously the toughest game for me to pick this week. But I'm gonna listen to the voice inside that says, Rich, take the Cleveland Browns. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns because I think this defense is absolutely legit. I think Myles Garrett is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I think he will win it this year. I think Joe Flacco in the playoffs with Amari Cooper, with David Njoku playing well, okay, Cleveland knows what they are. They're a running downhill football team, and they play action to Cooper and Njoku. I think this defense is going to have a much better day against C.J. Stroud. I don't think he's going to be terrible, but I think they're going to get to him. I think they're going to force maybe 1 or 2 turnovers in this game that decide this game. So, it might be long and rough for C.J. Stroud in this week. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns to win. I'm going to say 24-17 Cleveland Browns over the Texans. Because Amari Cooper had a monster day against them a couple weeks ago. Remember when he had almost 300 yards on that team? I know he had over 200 yards, but he almost had, I think, 300. Amari Cooper went off. I don't think he's going to have that type of a game, but if the Texans couldn't cover him a couple weeks ago, I think Amari Cooper's due for a massive game again. I think he'll get over 100 yards, but I don't think he'll get 200. I think that's a stretch. If he has back-to-back, 200, 300-yard games against them, that's insane. It's like, a couple years ago when Josh Allen and the Bills did not punt against my team. And that happened two meetings in a row. If that happens, then it's just one of those weird circumstances where you just go, that's insane. But it won't happen this time around. I feel confident in saying that. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns to beat the Houston Texans because I trust Joe Flacco in the playoffs more than I do C.J. Stroud. I know he's had an amazing year, C.J. Stroud, but I think this team's inexperienced. I think it's going to come back this week. The Cleveland Browns have the best defense in football. They know what they are. And I think that defense is going to be the difference in getting after C.J. Stroud. But this is a tough game for me to pick. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns 24-17 over the Houston Texans. And the Cleveland Browns will move on to the next round. We'll save that helmet to see who they match up with. But we're going to move the Texans helmet over here. That's my eliminated column. And then to my right is the advanced column. So, next up, Sunday night, Peacock only. Bullshit. That's the worst thing they ever did this season. Oh, man. It is 2 teams I do not like for differing reasons. It's the Miami Dolphins against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, Saturday night on Peacock. Now, you guys remember when these 2 teams played in, I believe it was Germany, I want to say? I know it was definitely either in London or Germany. I'm going to say it was Germany, though. Yes, it was Germany. Okay? Remember the game where the Chiefs were up 21-0, and then Miami all of a sudden heated up late, but then Tua botched as usual? Yeah, I remember very, very clearly. So, this week, this is, I think, 2 different teams. I would still say, more different on Kansas City's side than Miami because Miami still can't beat elite teams. Kansas City's offense has plummeted. They're clearly not the same team, right? So, in my opinion, oh, and by the way, did you guys see the weather forecast for that game? That thing is supposed to be -30 wind chill, which would make it the 3rd coldest game in NFL history, okay? Which was the Ice Bowl, and then I believe it was the game with the Chargers-Bengals in '81. So, only 2 other games would have a worse wind chill than this game projected tomorrow night. So that's going to be a big factor. You guys think weather, the real OG old school people, weather is a huge factor. To all these people that think, it's every game's like just Madden weather, bullshit, bro. The weather is a huge factor, okay? So this game happens to be one of those games. All right, I'm going to put this down now, okay? This is not really tough for me. All right? But if I'm going to be honest, it's the most hated game I have to pick this week because I don't like either team for different reasons. Miami, they always beat my team in the division. I think Tua is so overrated as far as a big game quarterback, as far as top 10 quarterback goes as well, because he can't beat the good teams. And he puts up great numbers because, his coach loves to, show how good he is as an accurate passer. But, again, I don't think Miami's that good because they can't beat elite teams. And Kansas City, you guys know my hatred for Chief bandwagons. They're nauseating, they're toxic, they're delusional. Okay, I have already seen shit on X where I'm like, bro, you're not going far. Led by the head of the snake, Nick Wright, who I can't stand, who I hope fucking loses so bad. Honestly, guys, I'm going to confess something. If Miami wins, I actually would be happy because I fucking want to see Nick Wright's face and his stupid delusional takes if they lose. I would honestly be happy if Miami won for once. If they beat the Chiefs. That's how much I hate those Chief bandwagons because they literally are so nauseating and delusional. I would actually be happy if Miami won. Now, do I think they're going to win? Hell no. Okay? I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs because I know one thing's for sure. Miami sucks in cold weather, especially if the game's supposed to be a minus 30 wind chill. I know for a fact that Tua is playing his first postseason game with all the lights and all the pressure on him, okay? On a national televised event where streaming, everybody's going to probably be, most people are going to be watching. I am going to not probably watch it on Peacock because it makes zero sense for me to just get it for one game this season, okay? But I will somehow find a way to watch this game. But I think that the Chiefs are going to win. They're in Arrowhead 1. Their home crowd behind them. Mahomes, we know what he does in the postseason. Okay? And I think Tua in his first playoff game is going to crumble under the lights, and people are going to finally realize that he's just not that good. His numbers make him look good. He may be accurate, but he can't beat the good teams. Now, the one thing I think this game's going to be a little bit closer is because Vic Fangio's the defensive coordinator. They got Howard and Ramsey. I'm very curious to see how they defend Travis Kelce and those receivers because the Chiefs receivers have been bad as of recently. Okay, the one kid I think they're going to have to worry about is maybe Rashee Rice. Kelce's getting older. I'm curious how Fangio takes him away. Pacheco might be in for a big game, I think, because the Chiefs have been running with Isaiah Pacheco. He's been getting more touches. They've been running the football more. I think in this game, I can honestly see the Chiefs winning and kind of not looking flashy, not looking amazing like they've been in years past. So I think it's going to be close. It's going to be low scoring with the weather. I'm going to take Kansas City 14-10 over Miami because I think they're going to struggle to score. I think Tua and company are going to struggle to score. Tyreek is not going off again, okay? I think that it's going to be that low scoring because I think the Chiefs offense, everybody thinks they're going to put up a guaranteed 20-plus a game. I don't know about that. I know Miami's banged up because they lost Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. I know that. But cold weather with minus 30 wind chill, okay, and that ball being hard as a rock, don't expect 20-plus from the Chiefs. Do not. It's going to be hard. It's going to be one of those ground and pound games. Time of possession is going to matter, okay? I'm going with the Chiefs in a low-scoring contest. I'm going 14-10 Kansas City. Closer than the experts say. Definitely an under. I'm going with the Chiefs to beat the Miami Dolphins. Honestly speaking. So, yes, Chief bandwagons. I'm picking you to win a playoff game. I'm honest there. If you guys lose, though, I'm letting you know right now. Okay? If you guys lose, I'm telling you right now, we are dropping an episode Tuesday. I'm trying to get some friends over to celebrate this occasion, but I don't think it'll be this week. It might be the following week. And you're so lucky because if it's the following week, it might be a little later than Monday. But I am going to try to find a way to get you roasted, Chief Bandwagons, because you're not good. You're not good this year. You're not getting far. Trust me. In my bracket, the way it's shaping up, you're not going far. So be lucky and happy you're going to win a playoff game because Miami sucks and can't beat elite teams. That's that. Which brings me to another game with weather involved. The first of Sunday's games. Okay? This team has been on a 3-game win streak. I've had a friend tell me, we need to rebuild, Rich. We need to go get a new quarterback. Tomlin might have to go, Rich. But they made it to the playoffs anyway. The 7th seed Pittsburgh Steelers against arguably the hottest team in football right now, the Buffalo Bills, the 2 seed. So, this is another game where weather's also supposed to play a factor. Okay? Apparently there's supposed to be winds up to 60 miles per hour, 65 miles per hour? No, I'm not joking. Go look it up on X. That's what the National Weather Service said. Okay? It's supposed to be over a foot of snow. Okay? It's literally bad traveling conditions. Okay? For Sunday's game against in Orchard Park, Buffalo. And we all know Buffalo weather is insane. So if you're supposed to have 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts, if you're supposed to have over a foot of snow, this is going to be another dead under game, okay? Both teams are used to cold weather. I think this is another under situation, but I'm still going to take the Buffalo Bills to win. You know why? Because they're used to cold weather. Now, Gabe Davis is out, which I know it's not a big injury, but that's their number 2 receiver. So the Bills being favored by 10, take Pittsburgh with the 10. Trust me. This is another game where I think it's going to be low scoring. It's time of possession. This shit you don't mess around with, bro. The elements are strange. Trust me. Okay? I am going to go with the Bills because they're used to this type of weather, right? But this is unprecedented weather conditions. Okay? I think it's going to be one of those ugly score games, right? I'm going to go with, because this is the Steelers offense with Mason Rudolph, right? I don't think really they're going to do that well. I think they're going to probably try to run Najee, and the Bills are just going to clamp them up. I don't know how they're going to throw the ball really well either. So this is a game I'm scared to pick low scoring here. I really am, but I feel like what else is there going to be left with, right? So I'm going to go with a weird score here, guys. I'm going to go 18-12. Bills over the Steelers. No overtime. 18-12 straight up. Okay, I think that they're going to find ways to score. It might be under that, dude, with the weather that I'm hearing for this game. I'm going to go 18-12 Bills over the Steelers. I think that the Steelers might get a turnover on Allen, surprisingly. It'll be a fumble probably. I do think the Bills have found balance in recent memory. I think the running game has improved with James Cook, Latavius Murray, Fournette they've got. I do think Allen might throw a small touchdown to either Diggs or one of his other receivers. It's going to be a very low-scoring game, I think, compared to what we're used to. So I'm going to go with the Bills to beat the Steelers. I think the Steelers might get 1 or 2 touchdowns with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. I don't think they're going to let Mason Rudolph throw. This is a game where, the weather is for real. I wouldn't be shocked if they postpone this game to Monday? I really wouldn't be shocked. But I'm going to go with the Bills 18-12. Yes, I'm going bold because why not? You don't mess with weather, bro. That's one thing in this league that's so unpredictable. So give me the Buffalo Bills to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think that's what it's going to be. So I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I have my AFC second round all set and ready to go. Which brings me to the NFC side of the playoff bracket. This team has been on a roll recently. Being, surprisingly, a team that was supposed to be god-awful this year has somehow made it to the playoffs with a first-year quarterback that is really in his fourth year, okay? He's playing really good ball. It's the 7th seed, Green Bay Packers, going up against a team that was unbeaten at home and possibly a Super Bowl contending team. The number 2 seed, Dallas Cowboys. Packers-Cowboys in the playoffs once again. Guys, we know the playoff matchups between these two teams in recent memory. We had the Dez catch. We had the Rodgers pass to Jerod Cook that upset the number 1 seeded Cowboys a couple of years ago. So we know these two teams know each other too well in the playoffs. But this is a new era. This is the Jordan Love era, his first real playoff game. Okay, the Dallas Cowboys, much better at home than they are on the road. Okay, they got the number 2 seed in the NFC, right? That defense plays much better at home. So, first meeting for these two teams. And Mike McCarthy plays his former team again. Yes. So, this game, I feel like this has a blowout sense. What do I mean? I think that Dallas blows the doors off Green Bay. But I'm a little scared to say that because I feel like the minute I say this, Green Bay is going to somehow make it a game, and I'm going to be like, why are you letting a 7-seed Green Bay team hang around? Right? I can't lie to you. Mike McCarthy's coaching decisions scare me. Okay? I have family that are Cowboy fans watching this show, so I have to be a little careful with how I'm going to say this, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's closer than what the spread is right now. I really wouldn't. I would take Dallas convincingly. I would. I think Dallas should win this game. They will dominate Green Bay. I think Jordan Love will crumble under the playoff lights. I have one of my coworkers' friends' brothers that is a Packers fan. I don't want to hear shit from him this summer. You are going to get blown out, okay? He's telling me, the Packers Super Bowl run starts now. Yeah, okay. No, okay? It's not happening, bro. Sit down, okay? You're lucky you went 9-8, okay? And you happen to beat a couple good teams, and all of a sudden you're flexing your muscles. Oh, yeah. No, okay? But let's get to the real analysis as to why I think Dallas absolutely destroys Green Bay. Dak Prescott's playing really good football right now. I don't know what they're going to do as far as stopping Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I think this defense is going to pressure Jordan Love. Dan Quinn trying to get another head coaching job. I think that this defense is going to absolutely smother Jordan Love and those Packers receivers. I think they're going to blitz him, a fair amount in the game. I think I could see them getting about 3 to 4 sacks in this game. I know Green Bay's line's good, but I think they still get 3 or 4 sacks on them. I think that they're going to get at least 1 or 2 takeaways on them. All right, young quarterbacks in the playoff stage don't really normally do well. Okay, I think, Jordan Love is going to be one of those quarterbacks that doesn't perform well in the playoffs. I think Dak Prescott's playing really good football right now. But I think Dallas is by far superior team. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys to beat the Packers. I think that they are by far a better team. I think Dallas defense plays better at home. I think Jordan Love, the playoff lights are going to crumble. So I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to advance, and they will make it onto the divisional round and host yet another playoff game. Let's go to the Rams and the Lions, shall we? Another return game. The Lions' former quarterback takes on a team that just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. The LA Rams take on a team who is everybody's Cinderella favorite team this season. They finally won their first division title since 1993. The 3-seeded Detroit Lions. Sunday night, Matthew Stafford makes his return to Detroit. Oh, there's a lot of fireworks for this one. Jared Goff also plays his former team, who's on the Detroit Lions now. Okay? So, there's a lot of storylines in this one Sunday night. Detroit's first home playoff game since 1993. That is crazy to believe. Yes, and the Rams go on the road, arguably the hottest team in pro football right now. Oof, this one was also a little bit of a coin flip, right? Dan Campbell gets this team their first real postseason experience, right? While the Rams have been a team that's been in the playoffs years before. Sean McVay normally does well in the playoffs, right? We saw Sean McVay go into Seattle and beat Russell Wilson in Pete Carroll and company in Seattle a few years ago. Although that was the COVID year. But still, they managed to do it. And the Lions, they're everybody's Cinderella darling, right? They've, a lot of people are happy for them. I have been one where I'm excited to see them do well. This is a nice young football team to watch. But this is their first real taste of playoff experience, right? This game. We know the Lions can run the football with Gibbs and Montgomery. But we know that they can throw the football just as well with Amon-Ra St. Brown. With Jamison Williams, if they can get him going, right? Sam Laporta being hurt is a huge injury in this game. We know the Lions have a great offensive line with Sewell and Decker, I believe, is the other tackle. Right now is at center. They have a really good offensive line, right? But Aaron Donald's a handful, okay? He's still making Pro Bowls, right? The Rams, they have found a winning formula these last couple weeks, running the ball with Kyron Williams, right? They still got Cooper Kupp and Nakua, two really good receivers that give a team problems, right? Matthew Stafford's playing really good football these last 8 to 9 weeks of the season, right? The defense has been playing better under Raheem Morris. You know what? I'm confidently saying this. This is your first upset of these NFL playoffs. Give me the Los Angeles Rams to go into Detroit and upset the Detroit Lions. Because I think that the Lions defense has been questionable recently. I know that Aiden Hutchinson's really good for them. Plus, the Lions, for some reason, I feel like are always cursed in the playoffs. I just do. I think this is the worst matchup they could have possibly hoped. I think if they would have gotten that 2-point conversion against Dallas and they played Green Bay, I would have felt a little more comfortable in picking the Lions. But since they're playing the Rams, I don't think they got really a favorable draw. Okay? And I think this is the first big upset that happens in the playoffs. And I really like the way the Rams are playing. I think that this team, with the postseason pedigree of Sean McVay, with Matthew Stafford having already won a Super Bowl, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are healthy. I think that the way the Rams are playing, they're playing the hottest football of any team right now in the National Football League. I'm not betting against Sean McVay and company. I am going with the Los Angeles Rams to beat the Detroit Lions. I think that I trust the Rams offense way more than I do the Detroit Lions defense. I also trust the Rams defense to make a couple plays against Jerod Goff, maybe get a takeaway or two that decides the game. I think Aaron Donald's going to be tough for them to block. And I think that the Los Angeles Rams go into Detroit. Matthew Stafford beats his former team in their building. And they move on to the divisional round. So I am going with the Rams to upset the Detroit Lions in Detroit and the first upset of the NFL playoffs. Which brings us to our last playoff game on Monday night. This team was the NFC champions last year. The runner-up to the eventual Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Right? They finished second in the NFC East, but have not played well lately. The 5-seed Philadelphia Eagles going up against the team who has won the NFC South for 3 consecutive years in a row. Even with a new quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Even with a team that was supposed to be in salary cap hell this offseason, they still won the NFC South for a 3rd year in a row. The 4-seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game, if you guys remember, these two teams met in the wild card 2 years ago when the Eagles were up and coming and the Bucs had Tom Brady, and the Bucs and Tom Brady in Tampa dismantled the Eagles. Jalen Hurts got his first taste of postseason football. And then, things changed these last 2 years when the Eagles became the super team. And Tampa Bay went the other way. So now Tampa Bay is the average team at this point, and Baker Mayfield's getting, another taste of postseason. Another taste of postseason. While the Eagles, they were the top dogs 11 weeks in the season, and then they've slipped, winning only one of their final 6 games. That's concerning. All right? So, this game, honestly, I see either team winning, right? And I know that Baker Mayfield's postseason play has been mid at best, right? I do think he has a better supporting cast around him than he did in Cleveland the year he did win a playoff game in Pittsburgh. The Eagles, I know, as a roster, are so talented, they could definitely make a deep run if they could somehow put it all together. We've seen this team do it last year where they made a deep playoff run and eventually pushed the eventual Super Bowl champions to the brink. But we have to factor every week in the season, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So, this one, I had to do a little thinking, but I have eventually decided on another pick that might shock people. Another upset happens on Monday night. The NFC is going to be known as the upset bracket. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to upset the Philadelphia Eagles and move on to Divisional Round weekend. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to upset the Philadelphia Eagles, ladies and gentlemen. You know why? Have you seen the Eagles' defense the last couple of weeks? They can't stop a cold. Their secondary can't cover anybody. Even when they had all-pro players in Darius Slay, in James Bradbury, a Pro Bowler, Kevin Byard, they acquired midseason, they're still having problems. Do you know who's coaching defense for them? Matt Patricia is. Okay? Their front four, deeper than any team in the National Football League. They can't get pressure all of a sudden. Wonder why. Even with a potential Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate in Jalen Carter. Wonder why. That's a little odd. How a team with the 8th pick in the draft or so, Jalen Carter, a top 3 pick player in the draft, they're still worse in getting to the quarterback? I don't know how. Right? But also, it's not just the defense. The Eagles' offense has not played well either. A.J. Brown, I don't know where he's been. I recently just heard he's deleted all Eagles stuff, and he's deleted his Twitter X account. Wonder what that's all about. I think I might have mentioned it last week too. So A.J. Brown, there's more problems from within. Their offense has been a shell of itself, right? They have not looked any but the offense they were 11 weeks in. They are predictable. They are just a moribund offense that cannot get things going. They just look broken. Okay, Jalen Hurts may be hurt. He may be just, his play might have dipped significantly. He might be hurt. We don't know. But he's not been the same. Okay? And the running game, I don't know what happened to it. They just stopped running. Right? But this team is going the wrong way. And I don't know if they have enough to fix this in a week to beat Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, I think they're going to go off. I think the Bucs, they can run the ball, but they haven't been able to establish it lately, right? So Rachaad White might be in for an all right day, but I think Baker Mayfield with Godwin and Mike Evans, if he can protect the football, have a great chance to upset the Philadelphia Eagles because the Eagles have not done a lot of things well in these last 6 weeks. They have not. And I think that the Bucs defense with Devin White and Levante David, I think they're going to find creative ways to blitz Jalen Hurts and get after him. And this Eagles offense is going to be in for a rough night because if they can't do anything well, Todd Bowles is going to blitz them. Todd Bowles is going to blitz them. I think they're going to sell out on the run and take away DeAndre Swift. And they're going to try to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket. And I think the Bucs upset the Philadelphia Eagles and move on to Divisional Round weekend. All right. So, I have given you my wild card predictions, which brings me to the second. So we now go to the Divisional Round matchups. Now, these are predictions I have. All right. So, I don't know who's going to play, so we're just going to wing them the way that I have my helmet set up. So, We're going to go back to the AFC. Okay? This team earned the number 1 seed in the AFC. This team has potentially the 2023 MVP. But they're playing a team they know all too well, who gave them a game recently in Week 11. The first divisional round matchup is the 5 seed Cleveland Browns going to play the number 1 seed Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. AFC North rivalry, I think that this is the first meeting these two teams will have in the postseason. This game is going to be a lot closer than people think. I think that the Cleveland Browns are a potential AFC Championship threat. I would not be shocked if the Browns went into Baltimore and upset Lamar Jackson and company. I would not be shocked by that. Okay? I also would not be shocked if the Ravens handle their business and try to win. Okay? Because Lamar Jackson's under so much pressure this postseason, it's crazy to believe. Okay? So, when I really think about these two teams, right? Cleveland had its way with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, right? They also tried, I think, to start, I think it was P.J. Walker the first time these two teams met in Cleveland, right? But Cleveland went into Baltimore and beat them this year with Deshaun Watson banged up, right? And Lamar Jackson and company had a very favorable lead, but somehow it got squandered, right? So, this game, obviously the Ravens are a phenomenal defense. They've got a lot of really good Pro Bowl, All-Pro players this season, right? And the road to the AFC, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Baltimore. I think this is another game where I think it's going to be closer than the experts think. I would not be shocked if either team wins this matchup, okay? I could see it either way. But I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to move on to Championship Sunday and host the AFC Championship. Because I think that as much as I think the Browns have a great shot, Joe Flacco does know John Harbaugh. He knows how the Ravens are. He played under the Ravens for so long. I think this defense, they're going to notice a huge difference between C.J. Stroud and Lamar Jackson. I think it's going to be tough for Jadeveon Clowney, for Myles Garrett to keep him in the pocket. I think that they're going to try their very best. Okay, I think their corners are going to be all right against those receivers, right? I just don't know if they can hang with Lamar Jackson and this team for 4 quarters. I think the Ravens defense is going to give a lot of tough things for Joe Flacco to deal with. I think that they're going to try to take away Njoku. They have a better secondary to take away Amari Cooper. I think that the Ravens are just a team that I think they will have their way. They're going to show why they're better than the Browns. I think that, they're not going to blow a lead this time like they did the last time they played the Browns. I think Lamar Jackson and company get enough done. I'm going to go with 20 to 13 Ravens. All right? I'm going to say that. I think that they win convincingly over the Browns. I think that they just make enough plays to separate themselves from the rest of them. So, and I just realized as I'm doing this episode, I forgot to give the NFC playoff scores. For the Cowboys, Packers, I want to backtrack for a second. I'm sorry. For the Cowboys-Packers score, I'm going to go 30-13 Dallas. Dallas absolutely smokes Green Bay. Rams-Lions. I'm going to go with the Rams 27. I'm going with the Lions 20. Eagles-Tampa. I'm going with the Bucks to win 23. I'm going with the Eagles 14. Those are my NFC playoff scores. So I just want to make sure I give those scores out. I'm sorry that I didn't do them when I was going over. But I'm going with the Ravens to beat the Browns 20-13 on divisional round, and I think the Ravens host the AFC Championship the following weekend. Okay, the other team that will be vying for that AFC Championship game. We know these two teams have also met in the playoffs for some instant classics of recent memory. The two quarterbacks that are proclaiming to be the next Manning-Brady rivalry. It's the Kansas City Chiefs going to the Buffalo Bills, this time in Orchard Park. I have waited so bad to get a great matchup where I actually think the Chiefs bandwagons actually have to lose. Mahomes plays his first road playoff game. We all remember what happened when these two teams last met. Kadarius Toney lined up offsides. We all know Mahomes threw his tantrum. It was the day that Mahomes, did not get the calls and he threw a tantrum like a baby. He acted like a bitch after the game. We know. We all saw it. And they still think they should have won that game. But let me tell you guys something. You have not been the same team since. You have not gone on a road playoff game and won a road playoff game. But this time, you're not going to win a road playoff game. You're still going to be waiting. You're going home early, Chiefs bandwagons. This is the game. Say bye-bye. You're gone. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to finally beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason. And they travel to Baltimore to the NFC Championship game with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Do we forget that the Bills have beaten the Chiefs in 3 of the last 4 meetings? Did we just simply forget that? Because I think people have seemed to have forgotten that. I think Nick Wright seems to forget that because he doesn't care about regular season meetings. He seems to only care about the playoffs when he seems that Josh Allen seems to crumble. Josh Allen, for my estimation, has played mostly well in these playoffs, except last year when they played Cincinnati. That's it. He's played mostly all right in those games. Okay? Now, Josh Allen's had his way the last couple of years with the Chiefs. Okay? I think that this reminds me of the Patriots-Colts rivalry in the sense that everybody, enjoyed the Mahomes glory, beating up on Josh Allen, and everybody enjoys the classic games, right? But it can't be a rivalry if one team's always winning. Okay? And everybody knew that as great Manning was in the regular season, he had to beat my Patriots to prove that they could get a Super Bowl. And they eventually got one. Okay? But, they got a couple regular season wins, right? But everybody didn't care about those regular season wins. They needed to see him do it in the postseason, where it counts. And they wanted to see if they could get a home playoff game. Okay? Because they know they couldn't go in New England and beat them. Well, the Bills got that chance. And I think this is the game that reminds me of that rivalry where the Bills get it their way. The Chiefs will not win a road playoff game. And they go home in the divisional round because they're just not that good this year. Okay? The Bills have their running game that they figured out. I trust Josh Allen and company to finally get a win at home. I think Gabe Davis will be back for that game. And Von Miller is a different man in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. Okay? Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, they can get after Mahomes now. You see Daquan Jones playing good for the Bills? He's a stud. Okay? The secondary does worry me, but the Chiefs receivers are not that much better. Sean McDermott might have a way to take away Travis Kelce. I trust that the Bills finally knock the door down. They win their home playoff game in Orchard Park, beat their playoff nemesis, and send Patrick Mahomes on vacation early. Yeah, Chiefs bandwagons, this is the game. You go bye-bye, and I will be roasting you right after this game. Josh Allen finally beats Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, which sets a Buffalo at Baltimore AFC Championship preview. Now let's get to the NFC side of things. These two teams know each other awfully well. They play in the same division. Another division rivalry that was played not too long ago. They literally just met in week 18. The 6th-seeded LA Rams will travel to Levi Stadium to take on the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Divisional Playoff round. Ooh, this is going to be a great game, man. Now, you guys remember, the last meeting these two teams had in the playoffs was the 2021 NFC Championship game when the Niners had a 10-point lead quickly evaporate as the Rams came back and won in SoFi Stadium. But this is a time now where it's in Levi Stadium. The 49ers starters are all back and playing. Okay? The 49ers, we've seen what this team is in the playoffs when they are the team to beat. Okay? Brock Purdy, last postseason, did very well. Okay? These two teams know each other, right? Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, they worked with each other in Washington, right? So they know each other all too well. So, I think this is going to be a game where the Niners might get a little scared here. But I don't think they get upset. I think that the 49ers are, in my opinion, the best team in football. I have picked them to win the Super Bowl in my preseason pick. I'm going to stick to my guns and go with the 49ers to win this game and host the NFC Championship the following weekend. I'm going with the 49ers to beat the Rams. Because I trust this team. Kyle Shanahan, they've been knocking on the door for so many years. Okay, not like my uncle's pick with the Raiders. That's not a team that's knocking on the door. I'm throwing shade on that pick. We do it all the time. So, this is a real definition of a team that's knocking on the door. This team has been right there in the playoff hunt in 4 of the last 5 seasons. They went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Came within 2 minutes of beating the Kansas City Chiefs. 2020 was a bad year. They got injured, but 2021, they were a wildcard team. They went into Dallas and beat Dallas. They went into Green Bay and beat Green Bay. They were going to beat the LA Rams if not for a drop pick. The year after, they get the 2 seed. Looked like arguably the best team in the playoffs. Beat Seattle convincingly. Beat Dallas in a game they manhandled Dak Prescott. And I think that this year they're going to assert their will and dominance once again. We all know that Sean McVay did get Kyle Shanahan one time, but Kyle Shanahan, for the most part, has owned Sean McVay. I think the Rams have no answer for Christian McCaffrey. I think that the 49ers with Deebo Samuel, Kittle, Ayuk, I think they can overwhelm that Rams secondary. I think that as good as Coach Raheem Morris is on defense, he's got his hands full. Because Christian McCaffrey is arguably an MVP candidate, and if we're going to pick a non-quarterback to win MVP this year, he should win it. I think the Niners defense will have their way against Matthew Stafford. I think that Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Javon Hargrave, Arik Armstead, that front 4 is deep. And if you have a good, deep defensive front, it's going to be a long day for Matthew Stafford and company. The one weakness with the Rams is they cannot pass protect well. And I think that the Niners front just gives them so many problems. I'm going with the 49ers to upset the Rams. I think they get 1 or 2 takeaways on Matthew Stafford. I think that Steve Wilkes will have an answer for Cooper Kupp and Nakua. I think the Niners host the NFC Championship game again. And I think this team proves once again why they are the pick to win the Super Bowl. The last NFC Divisional round matchup is a matchup that we saw last postseason in Tampa Bay. But this time, it's in Dallas. 2 teams that know each other awfully well. Unfortunately, this team sent Tom Brady to retirement. It's the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This time in Dallas, with a trip to the NFC Championship game on the line. Now, we all know Dallas went into Tampa, had their way last year. Clearly, we're the better team. And Dallas, with another home playoff game, gets Baker Mayfield. I think they have the most favorable draw in these playoffs, arguably. And I think that, the Bucs, they were playing a team in Philly that, was trending downward. But this time, Dallas isn't trending downward. They're trending upward. They're home. They're a way better team. And they earned their trip to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1995. So the Dallas Cowboys, yes, will make their first NFC Championship since 1995. I'm going with them to make the championship game because I think they're going to have a hard time blocking Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, I do think Stephon Gilmore and Mike Evans is going to be a fun matchup to watch. Deron Bland against Chris Godwin. I think that Dallas plays way better than they do at home. Dak Prescott had his way with Todd Bowles' defense last time go around. The one thing I'm a little worried about is can Mike McCarthy get that running game going with Tony Pollard in the playoffs because their running game has been non-existent these last couple of years. And I think that, they need to get that running game going. I think the Cowboys just have too many offensive firepower. I don't think they're going to be able to stop CeeDee Lamb, the Bucs, just like the Packers won't. And I think that the Dallas Cowboy defense will get takeaways off Baker Mayfield, and the Dallas Cowboys send the Bucs home in divisional round weekend to punch a ticket to the NFC Championship game where they got to go back to San Francisco. All right. We are done with divisional round picks. Now we go to the AFC and NFC Championship picks. We're going to start with the AFC Championship game first. In my opinion, the two best teams in the AFC. This is the toughest game to pick in the AFC playoff picture to date. It's the Buffalo Bills traveling to the Baltimore Ravens with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. So it will be a guaranteed new quarterback in there besides Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Tom Brady. So these are two quarterbacks vying for that coveted Super Bowl appearance, vying for the battle of supremacy in the AFC to date. And if this is going to be a year where Mahomes is out of the picture, one of these guys has to win it. The last time the Bills played the Ravens was, believe it or not, last year, week 4. Okay? But the last time they met in the postseason was in Buffalo, 2020 divisional round. Okay? Just to provide some context there. Guess who won both of those meetings? The Buffalo Bills did. I know people are going to say, well, the Ravens are much different, Rich. They're a better defensive team than they were. They're a much better offense than they were. Lamar Jackson's a much improved player. Okay. I concede that. However, the playoffs are a different animal. Josh Allen's been good in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, to date, has number of playoff wins. 1. And that was against a Titans team in Tennessee that was not really that great that year. But when Lamar Jackson has to play really good teams in the playoffs, he struggles. And he did lose to Tennessee the year he won MVP as a 1 seed and as the prohibitive Super Bowl favorite at the time. So, do we see similar expectations this time? I'm going to say, yes, we do see similar expectations. Another upset. Give me the Buffalo Bills to upset Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in the AFC Championship and punch their ticket to Super Bowl 58. The Bills come out of the AFC. Because Lamar Jackson and company, as great as they are defensively, as great as they have been on offense, we don't know if Mark Andrews is going to make it back in time for this game. And if he does, it definitely helps the Ravens' chances of winning. But I'm going to go with the Bills because this is their year. They are finally running the football well. Josh Allen's been big time in the playoffs outside of one game last year against Cincinnati. This team is motivated to try to go do it. Okay? It is better that they have done it, at home as opposed to going on the road. This is Josh Allen's first real tough, hostile road environment. I know people are going to say Arrowhead was a hostile road environment, but I'm talking about a real tough defense, okay? With huge, huge pressure on the line here, okay? In a year, you have to do it. With Mahomes out of the picture, I think the Bills have the goods to go into Baltimore and beat them. They're the one roster outside of the 49ers that I think can go toe-to-toe with the Ravens, okay? Because I think that Sean McDermott's going to find a way to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, okay? I think that the Bills' front four could definitely give Lamar Jackson problems. Von Miller is going to be tough to play in the postseason. Leonard Floyd is obviously a guy that, has Super Bowl experience winning one with the Rams, right? I do think the Bills' secondary is in a little trouble, but I do like that Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are two really experienced safeties. And I think the Bills' corners are going to be tough to... They're going to have a tough matchup with Odell and Zay Flowers, okay? But I just think Josh Allen, this is his time to rise above the critics and ascend. And I think that the Bills win in Baltimore and punch their ticket to Super Bowl 58. Now, the NFC Championship game. This is a meeting where they will be meeting for 3 straight NFC Championship games, which has not happened since 1992 to 1994. And that matchup will be the Dallas Cowboys going once again to San Francisco 49ers. Now, it's not obviously 3 straight NFC Championship games, but it's 3 straight meetings in the postseason since those 92 to 94 meetings. Okay? So, again, we have, can the Dallas Cowboys finally knock down that door and beat San Francisco again in the playoffs? Can they do it? It's their best chance since 1995 to do it. But the 49ers have been that juggernaut all season long. And the only time they've had a hiccup was, I think it was week 6 to about week 9, right? So they had some hiccups, right? But this team, once again, I think that the Niners have their way again. Because, let me tell you why. They're home again, right? They exposed Dallas week 5 early in the season. I know it was week 5. But they clearly have an idea how to beat this team, right? They know how to run the football against them, okay? They know how to throw the ball against that Dallas defense. Brock Purdy had, 4 touchdowns in week 5, right? Do you remember last go-around? Even when they didn't throw the ball well, even when they didn't run the ball well, they did just enough to win. I trust Kyle Shanahan way more than I do Mike McCarthy in the postseason, which makes me believe well enough that the 49ers also punched their ticket to Super Bowl 58. Which means, and I'm going to try to put this on my shoulder here if you guys can see. Might be tough because I might be moving my thing around. But if you can't see it, it's okay. I'll just put them actually on my leg here. Which means my Super Bowl 58 matchup is the Bills against the 49ers. And let me finish up the Dallas Niners championship game, why I think the Niners win. Dak Prescott sucks against elite playoff teams. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be lucky to play Green Bay and Tampa in the first 2 weekends of the playoffs. Because those 2 teams, Dallas doesn't fear. They should win convincingly. They should blow them out. Right? Oh, let me give my score for the divisional rounds real quick and the championships real quick. I have the Bills beating Kansas City 27-17. Okay? I have the Cowboys beating the Bucks 35-17. And I have the Niners beating the Rams. I have the Niners beating the Rams 24-14. That's what I have. Okay? And for the Bills-Ravens, I have the Bills winning 24. I think they can get to 24. And I got Lamar Jackson getting 16. Okay? So I've got the Bills winning 24-16 over the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. And in this game, I have the 49ers winning. Let's see, they got 19 in last year's playoff meeting. They got, I believe it was 23 in the other meeting. And I think they'll score more than that. I've got the Niners winning 28, and I got the Cowboys 17. I don't think Dallas is going to score really a lot against this defense. I think Dak Prescott has struggled against this defense. They've made him turn the ball over. I know Dak can't beat elite playoff teams. They're going to get away with beating Green Bay and Tampa, 2 teams that are absolutely average to below average playoff teams. Okay? And once they play an elite team, Dak Prescott will crumble under the lights. Okay? The Niners have the best answer to stop CeeDee Lamb, I think. And I believe that the Niners just have an answer either way. They can run the football on you, and they can throw the ball on you. Dallas has to decide what they're going to defend, and hopefully that the Niners have an off day to have a shot. I don't think Dallas can beat San Francisco for a 3rd year in a row, and there's obviously questions of, do they get rid of Mike McCarthy because Jerry Jones doesn't give any job security, but I don't think it'll likely happen, but just want to throw that out there. So this brings me to my Super Bowl 58 matchup. I had Bengals-Niners preseason. The Bills almost made the cut. I just wasn't sure how that Diggs situation was going to play out. But I like the way the Bills have been playing lately. I like the 49ers all season to win it all. And really, to cut things short, the 49ers beat the Bills in Super Bowl 58 on CBS. This team, ladies and gentlemen, is my pick to win it all. I'm sticking to it. I haven't backed off all season. Even when they were struggling, I have not backed off. I think this team is the most complete team in football. They can win multiple different ways. Kyle Shanahan's team is on a mission. They are by far and away, in my opinion, the favorite. Okay, over the Ravens, over the Cowboys, over the Chiefs, over the Bills. This is the best team in football right now. I really believe that. I have the most confidence in this team because I've seen them do it in postseason experience the last 4 or 5 years. I think this team has been knocking on the door, and this is their year. They do it. We look at some other teams that have been doing it in years past. People can say the Rams when they won it 2 years ago. The Chiefs obviously did it, in 2019. Okay, there's been teams that have been knocking on the door in previous years that eventually knock it down. And I think that the Niners are the perfect definition of a team that's knocking on the door and has all the pieces needed to win this year. They've been in win-now mode since they acquired Christian McCaffrey. Last year, before the trade deadline, they have been on that mission. I think firmly they would have went to the NFC Championship game last year, had Brock Purdy not gotten hurt, possibly beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the year they show the whole world they could be 2-time Super Bowl champions, but they will win it this year, and they will claim the Super Bowl championship, and they are the 2023 NFL champions, and they win Super Bowl 58. There you have it. Super Bowl MVP, I will take let's see. We had Mahomes last year. We had Cooper Kupp, the non-quarterback, win it in 2021. I'm going to take a bold pick with you guys. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey to win Super Bowl MVP. And I have the Niners winning an epic game. I think it's going to be high scoring. It's in Vegas. It's a dome. Oof. I've got 34-28 written all over it. I think both teams have a field day. They score. I think that, star power is going to be great. I got the Niners winning 34-28. They make one stop on Josh Allen to win the game, and it's an exciting Super Bowl that has an exciting finish. There you guys have it. There's my playoff bracket. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I try not to go too long, not too much stat driven, but I'm giving you also based on my gut feeling, so we're trying a different style there as well. Now, we have to talk about some very important things here. We've had some major coaching news happen recently. Obviously we have seen now in a span where Pete Carroll is no longer the Seattle Seahawks head coach. We've seen Nick Saban retire at Alabama. Okay? And we've seen Bill Belichick part ways with the New England Patriots, who, by the way, have just hired their head coach today in Jerod Mayo. We'll get to all of that, in a few. All right? I don't want to really take up long with this, but these are some major coaching news that we have to talk about. All right? Now, usually I don't do this, but because these have been so much great coaching icons, we have to dedicate a topic just for this. For the news on Pete Carroll, I have heard he hasn't ruled out coaching. And I think it wouldn't surprise me to see him go to another team. I think what made him say that was I think Seattle was looking to move in a different direction as far as maybe going with a younger head coach. I know Pete had final say in a lot of matters over in Seattle. They have been a team that has really not advanced where they wanted to go. But again, it's been so hard since you lose an all-time great defense and it gets broken apart. And then obviously they traded away Russell Wilson, which has been the right move, which has made Pete Carroll look like a genius. No wonder why Seattle still wants him as an advisor. I think that I did not see this move coming. I just, seeing Pete Carroll's energy on the sidelines, seeing how he is, I never saw a guy that just would step down. So which makes me think, was this an organization decision to maybe move on from him? When I look at what they haven't really advanced to the divisional round since 2019, right? They've lost in a wild card in 2020. Did not make the playoffs in 21. Lost in a wild card in 22. We're one game out of the playoff this year. So they've kind of been in the same place. Okay? Do I think it was the right move? No. But again, It is shocking to me that Pete would step down and would be an advisor. But again, Seattle, you guys got a Super Bowl out of it. You have the greatest defense possibly in the last 10 years. You can hang your head on that. You could have been a dynasty had Pete Carroll ran the ball, Marshawn Lynch, but Malcolm Butler happened. But Seattle, I've heard fans actually be happy that Pete Carroll's gone. You guys, let me tell you guys something right now. You guys, the last couple of years with Mike Holmgren were not really that great. Even the 1 year with Jim Mora, you were terrible. Okay? When you guys were not great before Pete Carroll. I mean, Mike Holmgren obviously was there for a while, got you guys to a Super Bowl there. You guys were decent, but this is rebuild mode in Seattle officially. Do they, I wonder, get rid of DK Metcalf? Do they trade away an aging Tyler Lockett? I wonder if they do look at maybe getting rid of, a couple of those aging veterans they have on the roster. They have a lot of nice young pieces, but Geno Smith's an alright quarterback. I don't think this team will be insanely great, but with the NFC being a little weak, you never know. But Seattle with a huge loss. I mean, happy for Pete Carroll because he really did a great job with Seattle. And again, I hope he returns back to science. He's still got the energy and the enthusiasm. I don't think he'll be out of coaching for long. I really don't. But really surprised by this decision. I never saw this coming, but, I expect Pete Carroll to be coaching a little bit in the near future. I don't think he's done yet. Let's go to Nick Saban in Alabama. When I was listening to Paul Feinbaum on First Take talk about Nick Saban's health, and how he seemed tired after games, that was the first sign that made me go, retirement's on the table, right? Alabama was not the same as they were in previous years. And I heard Nick Saban, I think, in his interview talk with Reese Davis about the state of the game and NIL. And he was all for, players promoting themselves and, getting that exposure. But I think his one issue, if I'm paraphrasing this, don't hold me to this standard, but this is from information that I've gathered, is that he didn't like it when it comes to the agents and it becomes a, bidding war amongst the boosters, right? And I could see Saban's issues with that, right? But you have to evolve with college football, right? And I think that he didn't do a terrible job evolving with college football. I just think more exposure from these higher boosters like a Texas, like a USC, like Deion Sanders is doing at Colorado. More teams benefited from exposure as to why they're now, slowly getting back in the hunt, right? What Nick Saban did at Alabama, nobody's going to do. I hated them because I just hated the same teams winning every year in college football. I hated it, okay? The two teams I don't like in college football are Alabama and Ohio State. I'm getting bored of those two teams. I know Michigan now finally won, and they've been in it for 3 years. I know Georgia won it the last 2 years, okay? I'm just sick of the same teams in college football every year. That's why I think the NFL is way better than college, okay? But you have to recognize greatness when it's there. He obviously is the greatest college football coach of all time, okay? He won with running game and defense his first couple championships at Alabama. Then, when the times were changing, he went to a modernized offense. I give him a lot of credit for bringing in Lane Kiffin and advancing his offense to modern-day college football. I thought Bill Belichick should have did a similar thing to maybe keep his job in New England, but that's when we get to Bill Belichick, okay? But I give Nick Saban a ton of credit for bringing in Lane Kiffin, although they had, a little clash, but they're still good now. And, he won with, quarterbacks like Jake Coker, okay? He got to a Final Four with Blake Sims 1 year, okay? He got to Jalen Miller, who really was like a poor man's Lamar Jackson, okay? He dealt with the Jalen Hurts controversy, who I thought, wasn't, a great, Jalen Hurts I didn't think was bad at Alabama. I really didn't, okay? But Tua, he made the right call to put him in, and obviously it worked. I wasn't a fan of that call live. And then, obviously, Bryce Young, he was, they were in that game mostly with Georgia up until a pick six. And Mac Jones he won a championship with. So he's won basically every way in college football you can imagine. But it's really shocking that, he steps away, but I did not see this. I did see this coming once I heard the health news, right? But I did not think it was more than just health. I did not think it was because of NIL in the state of the game. For somebody like Saban, I thought he would have adjusted just fine. I thought he adjusted well. I just didn't think they get the recruiting class that they wanted. But again, you're not going to get the number one recruiting class every year, Nick Saban. It's just the way that, it works. But again, I think that, before all the conference realignment starts this year, it's just a surprise that he steps away right before that happens. But again, congratulations to Nick Saban on a historic, terrific run at Alabama, which brings me to Bill Belichick right now. In honor of Bill, I've got my Patriot gear on. I actually wanted to get a sweatshirt and, sweatpants because I used to love his wardrobe on the sidelines. So, and then I have the new gear where it's got the white, on here, and it's a little bit of like the, it's not cotton. I forgot the fabric. I'm not a, clothing guy that knows all the fabrics and stuff. That's not me. But I got a different Patriot gear with like the white on the side that I remember seeing him on the sidelines, and I'm like, damn, I need that. That's actually kind of sick. So I always used to like Bill Belichick's wardrobe. So that's why I got all the sweats and stuff like that. I'm not a cutoff hoodie guy. That's just not me. I'm not one with the cutoff sleeves and the hoodie. That's not me. No. But we keep the hoodie and stuff like that. As you guys know, I have repeatedly roasted, often killed Bill Belichick on this show a lot of times for the decisions he's made. I have absolutely ridiculed him to the utmost degree. I'm not proud about that, but when I sat back Monday, mostly this week, I realized that, it is hard to rebuild with when a Hall of Fame quarterback leaves, as we saw this year. My only gripe was I don't think, put Mac Jones in the best position to succeed. I know people are going to look at, when you're great for 20 years, you look at the personnel people gone, and, eventually you're going to have a situation where you might have to turn a defensive coordinator into an offensive coordinator, right? And I go back and forth with my cousin on, he's saying Mac Jones wasn't an NFL quarterback. I always would tell him, how the hell was he supposed to succeed with a defensive coordinator calling offense? He's never really told me a clear answer on that. Okay, I know he's watching, but it's true. Okay? Surprisingly, though, for him to get 8 wins with that kind of a scenario, 7 in a year where a lot of opt-outs happen, 10 with really everybody back, but in a way, I want to thank Bill Belichick for the 24 great years he gave this organization. And he did get us to 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl championships. I can't even count how many AFC championships. I know we're in the teens. Okay? Gave us some of the greatest game plans of the 21st century. He did it in an era where salary cap, free agency, it's so hard to do. He showed everybody basically how to run an organization for 20 years. He showed the first longevity of an organization to sustain winning and all that. And at 2 separate times in 20 years, they were a dynasty. I think they were overall a dynasty, but he showed it twice. 2001 to 2004 when they won 3 out of 4. Then you got 2014 to 2018 where they won 3 of 5. And, as much as I don't like the Mahomes-Brady argument and how people are proclaiming the Chiefs to be the next dynasty, it's going to be hard to get 6 championships. It's going to be really hard. We made it look easy. And, I have been mad at him because I didn't like the way how he pushed Tom Brady out the back door. And my thing is this, with how they forced Belichick out. Bill Belichick was his own demise. He went down his way, and he was basically, it's basically like a captain going down with a ship in Pirates terms. He was a captain that went down with his own ship. And I'm not sad really that he left because he did it to himself. He put this organization in a bad situation, and I know the parting gift he leaves us is the 3rd overall pick. a ton of cap space, high draft capital, I'm actually excited for the future. I am. Because I think we're going to be all right. The rebuild's going to be long. It's going to be rough. But it's also going to be fun. Okay? And I think he's, I know he's trying to chase that wins record with Shula. It sucks he won't be able to do it with us, but there's a different time and place that he'll be honored with us in New England at some point. But, Kraft decided, okay, we let Tom walk for nothing. We're not going to trade Bill. He deserves to go pick his own, destination where he wants to finish. I'm fine with that. I would have preferred draft capital as a personal thing, but he gave us 24 great years. I know I've ridiculed him. I've roasted him. I have often killed him on this show. But today I'm not going to do that. It's not the time and place for that today. It was mostly me as a passionate fan wondering why the hell certain things were going on. Okay? Do I stand by the takes? 100%. I'm not going to back off it. Okay? Because I know what the resume says. I know what the results told me. I know what my eyes told me. I told you everything that I truly believe. All right? But when I sat back, this early in the week, guys, I was like, it's going to be hard for somebody to do what we did. It's going to be, he really showed the league a lot of things that nobody thought possible. How to keep a dynasty in a salary cap in a free agency year where it's year to year. You're not always keeping the same team. But to be consistent and that dominant for that long is crazy. I heard a stat where I think they were 163-0 when his teams won the turnover margin or something like that. That's insane. Okay? But I got to say, I'm always going to have the memories of when we were dominant for the future. And, I'm always going to have this show for the last couple of years that, he was with us. So thank you, Bill Belichick, for the great 24 years that you gave us. And wish you best of luck in your next chapter. But yeah, this is not the day to roast him. This is a day of celebration, which we're going to do here. Which brings me to today's news. Jerod Mayo is the coach. I'm going to make this really quick because I feel like this show's getting a little long as is. I'm not surprised because last offseason when I was reading kind of the press releases that Kraft released, he really wanted to keep Jerod Mayo. He didn't want to lose him to another team that he felt was valuable. And I think that the one thing that I was surprised was that this is the first real coach with inexperience that Robert Kraft has hired in his 10 years ownership. I root for Jerod Mayo to do well. I think he's got major shoes to fill. I heard a lot of good things about him from stuff I read from within the organization and from people that cover the NFL, and all I've heard is good things about him. I know this year was rough, but I'm fully going to support Jerod Mayo. Hopefully he does well. Me personally, though, I would have wanted Mike Vrabel, but that's a different topic for another day. I think he's in a good situation. They wanted to make sure this succession plan was in place. And I really ask you guys this as Patriot fans, not just as Patriot fans, but as true football fans. How many years do we think Bill Belichick had anyway? I think he has a good maybe 2 to 3 left. Maximum of 5. He wasn't going to be coaching forever. So the Patriot fans that literally got on their hands and knees and started crying, begging Bill to please stay, let me just tell you guys something. This day was going to happen eventually. You can get mad at the Boston media all you want for forcing him out. I'm not going to talk about that. I don't think that's a different thing for me. I was one that did want him out. I did say that, but, I have a different tone today, okay? I was more, angry and upset for some of the decisions he's made. But, guys, we knew this day was coming. It was either yesterday or down the road. We would have still had the same reaction, okay? This day was going to happen. He's not coaching forever. The league keeps going, guys. Chuck Noll, the Steelers moved on without him. Bill Walsh, the Niners moved on without him. The Packers, Vince Lombardi, they moved on without. Tom Landry, the Cowboys moved on without. Jimmy Johnson, the Cowboys moved on without. Okay? The league keeps going. Okay? You have to learn to just go with it and enjoy the greatness that you have it with, okay? And that's what I'm doing right now that we had. All right? Now we're, not, everybody says we're just another franchise now, but I don't view that when you have 6 Super Bowls attached to it. Now it's okay. How do we get back to the top of the mountain? We're just like everybody else now. But I root for Jerod Mayo to do well. I hope he does well. This is going to be a team where I think now that it's going to be a young quarterback. It's going to be a young head coach. He's 37, youngest head coach in the league. So I hope he does well. I think he's going to relate better to the players. I think that the Kraft sees that the league is trending towards young head coaches, coaches that can relate to players. He's been in a locker room. He's been a 7-time captain. He's been on the coaching staff for 6 years. Now he gets to be the man in charge of the team and command a voice. Obviously, no one's going to replace Bill Belichick. Nobody ever is. Okay? But we can't say this with him now. We have to judge him differently. Okay? He's going to be a guy that, is in charge of building this team back up. All right? If he gets 1 Super Bowl, great. If he gets more than one, obviously, then, that's different. But, there's been succession plans where it's turned out all well. Remember the Steelers when they went from Noel to Cowher to Tomlin? They've had 3 coaches in 50 years. Remember when the Cowboys moved on from Tom Landry to Jimmy Johnson? Jimmy Johnson won 2 Super Bowls in a row before Jerry Jones got in the way and, his pride got in the way, right? So not all succession plans are bad. Some can turn out well. Maybe this is one of them. But I'm optimistic that this team's going to be all right. It's now time for me to just, hang in there with this rebuild and, try to, think positive and hopefully things go well. So, Jerod Mayo, I'm excited for you. Can't wait for you to, coach this team up. I'm excited. But guys, this concludes today's episode of Loungetime. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will have the picture playoff bracket on the X account for @LoungeTimePod. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so that you guys can get all the latest info and information you need for when we go make episodes. We have more for this postseason content starting. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Loungetime. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I will see you guys next week on the next episode of Loungetime. Enjoy the first weekend of the playoffs, everybody.